my God, I'm shaking. Oh my God. Sport mode's the best mode to do that in. What am I doing? I'm a mess. I'm a mess. Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today you join me from the driver's seat of my Audi RS3. Yes, if you haven't seen the video, I was able to purchase pretty much one of my dream cars. This is the dream stable car. You have it next to maybe other cars in the garage. This, for me, is the absolute goal. So, break it down. It is a 2011 Audi RS3. It has the 5-cylinder turbocharged engine up front. This one though, she ain't standard, producing 441 horsepower. Yes, that's a lot of power in a hot hatch. And I say hot hatch incredibly loosely because way back when these came out at what, 340 I think they were from the factory, leave a comment below if I'm wrong, these were considered super hatches, hyper hatches of their generation. Things that are coming out with, you know, over 300 horsepower in 2011 in this sort of platform was insanity. You've got to remember, in the sea of Golf Rs and new shape RS3s, this came out when there wasn't anything really like it, and that meant for me that when I saw one, as you guys may not have seen, I actually saw one of these way back when they came out and it dropped a gear and disappeared. And since that point in my life, I have wanted one so bad. It's just so fast. There's no thought in my head of this being as fast as it is. It's actually... Oh, I have to short shift because it just goes so fast. It's so fast. This stage 2 full MRC road going rocket ship propels me in sub 4 seconds. If I'm honest, it feels like 3 seconds. It feels like 3-second cars that I've driven before. I've launched the new S3s that have been mapped and stuff. This feels identical, if not faster, because of the 5-cylinder with this sort of power. The pickup, drop a couple of gears, third gear. It's just so deep in the rev. You crest 2,500, 3,000 RPM. This thing just annihilates the tarmac. That is thanks to, as well as the power, the 4-wheel drive system that these RS3s have. It is biblical grip levels. Biblical. And yes, you may have heard in previous goings on with maybe Chris Harris and all those other people that actually shot this car when it came out, they were complaining that it had mountains of understeer, which is fine. I would probably find that on a track. Right now, since I've owned it, I've chucked it through every corner at any speed I fancy, and I haven't uttered a whiff of understeer yet. That being said, this will see a track one day, hopefully, and I would like to see if that is really there, the understeer. Is it there? But that's something I only am ever really gonna see when I'm out giving this thing the absolute big one around the track. I don't think I'm gonna find it on the road. So guys, pulling over, let's have a quick look round the Audi RS3. Now, for people that don't know, this is the 8P A3 platform, but obviously this being the RS3 means it's a bit different to the normal ones that you would usually see on the road. So this specific car is running 441 brake horsepower at, I think it's around 680 Newton meters of torque with the stage 2 MRC, pretty much everything on this car. But body lines is the one thing I want to point out straight away, because as you can see, that front bumper with these grills, completely different to the S3 and the other A3s of this era. The front bumper really makes the front of this car looks so aggressive. Black with chrome headlights as well on these. This bit is the daylight running light on these, but again, hugely aggressive front end. And one of the reasons why I love these RS3s so much, RS3 badging at the front there as well. So cool, with the gloss black grills that are on the front of this car. Coming down, these have wider wings on the RS3s than the S3s and the normal A3s as well. Coming round to these black Audi rotor wheels in 19-inch that would have came on this car from the factory. Sat behind those wheels is the big RS brakes up front with AP discs behind. Fantastic braking power. And on the back as well, same wheel and same sort of brake setup on the back. If I come over here, although I want to tint the windows, this sportback look to these RS3s is why I love them so much. The four-door look in this sort of platform makes it look so cool, especially there as well. Such a good looking car this. Coming round the back, another thing to point out is the different spoiler that the RS3s have, with a little bit of a indent here, the wings coming off. Again, subtle, very aggressive looking at the same time. Coming down to the RS3 badging just there, and these come with a diffuser, gloss black diffuser from the factory as well, so that's on the bottom there with the Miltech exhaust system, which needs a good clean, don't get me wrong, but it has black tips on the back, so you wouldn't really know that this thing was running the sort of power it is. The two stickers that I put on the car, Team HCC obviously, and the Diamond Cross, available fydapparel.com. It also has an MRC badge just down here, and again, aggressive lines, but not too aggressive so it looks outlandish, but it's so you know this is an RS model. Coming round as well, it is on H&R lowering springs, so it is a little bit lower, as you can see, than the standard ride height that you would get on these RS3s. Coming into the inside, this has what I would say is the comfier seats in it. It doesn't have the wing backs. I made this a real big point when I was buying one of these, and thankfully this one that came through Havant Car Company had these in. Basically, I've driven a few cars with the wing backs, and although they look great, I wouldn't want to do a long drive in them. But yeah, that's why I've tried to sort of go for the more comfy seat option, because I will be doing a lot of miles in this thing. Centre armrest as well, very comfortable. These are the S-tronic ones as well, so you have a flappy paddle, in theory, gearbox with the paddles just up here. Carbon fibre paddle extensions as well, just there and there, very cool. And a flat bottom RS3 steering wheel to go with it all. RS3 in the dials just there. Yeah, very cool interior, and I like this interior, and this is a bold statement, more than the new one. I don't really like the new A3, S3, RS3 interior, if I'm honest. I prefer this generation with the center console rather than the pop-up screen. It's just one of those things, I prefer it so much more. Coming to the back of the car as well, I'll show you this. Huge amount of space. You could even get an adult in there very easily with my seat, which looks to be in gangster lean mode, which is pretty much about right. But yeah, more than enough space for 4 or 5 people and all of their luggage at the same time. Now, coming under the engine bay, I haven't detailed this yet, it will be done in the not so distant future, and there is an Audi badge missing, so I need to get one of those. But this has the 2.5 litre 5-cylinder engine in it. A lot of people had questioned this, you know, why didn't you buy an S3? It's the same car. Not the same car whatsoever. I've driven a fair few S3s. To be honest, in my opinion, the reason I bought this, nothing compares to it. So the 5-cylinder with the 4-wheel drive system is nuts. This has hard piping going down to the Revo air filter just there. It has an MRC intercooler in black just behind here. You can see there's a bit of flaking paint in there, which we will be getting sorted very soon. But that all equates to the 441 brake horsepower that is in this absolute monster of an RS3. So there we go, guys, a quick walk around of the RS3, but let's get back on the road, go and enjoy this thing. It has a full Miltech exhaust system. The front of the exhaust is actually by EMP, and it's got a sports cat in it at the moment, so it's very refined, even on sport. I've got it in sport mode at the moment. Sport mode on the actual car in front of me, and sport mode on the gearbox. So it's doing sort of all of the up and down shifts that it wants to, and I sort of prefer it in that mode, you can flip through the gears. It's no DSG crazy Golf R new S3 sort of gearbox in these, but it's had a gearbox remap, so it is incredibly quick for what it is. And the drone from the Miltech isn't too bad. I've driven, you know, cars of this sort of generation that have had Miltechs on them, and it's been just not very nice. It's been a bit of a drone, but you can shut it up. The sport mode, it has a flap in the Miltech, it all shuts up for you. That's exactly what I want on my daily driver, because at the end of the day, it's great to have a loud car, but sometimes you just want it to shut up. And this has the shut up mode. It has the non-sport, put it back into drive, but we want none of that in this shoot, so we're going back in sport mode, loud exhaust mode, back in sport in the gearbox. There it is, and it creates so much more of a driver's car just from the sound and the way this thing in sport mode becomes its own. It just transforms the car going into that sport mode. The car you want it to be down a B road, giving it the absolute big one, it has that button for it. And then when you don't want that and you just want to go to the shops, you just want to go to the gym or wherever you're going, it has that as well, where it will just shut up and just be a normal car. That was the biggest selling point to me, the fact that it can shut up. And I love stupid, leery, crazy exhausts on silly cars, but sometimes you just want a car to be a car. And that's not me not being a car enthusiast, because I want my car to do multiple things, like this one. It has every single thing covered that I could need it for in a daily situation. It has the back seats for my mates. It has more than enough room in here for everybody you could ever want to put in it. It has the comfort levels of an executive car that I've had before. You have the big boot and you can put the back seats down, so you can put pretty much anything you could ever want in this thing. The aftermarket modifier side to this car is insane. There's so many parts you could put on these things, so much more I could do to the engine, so many wheel choices, air ride, coilovers, little lip spoilers, all that stuff can be put on this car very, very easily, and they're not expensive to modify in my opinion. This 8P platform you can get in a diesel and an S3 variant, so this actual platform as a car is very, very easy and cheap to modify. But the real reason I bought this car, the real reason, is because of the engine. It is phenomenal, and I know I drive a lot of cars and I do a lot of things in the hot hatch world. This to me is the ultimate car. If you get it, I think you get it. If you don't, I understand why. There's many other cars that would do a fantastic job that are in your price range, that are a little bit newer or manual or whatever, but for me this is the ultimate because it does everything. It throws me in the back of the seat and literally scares me at how fast this thing is. It is comfy, it's got a Bose sound system that will literally shake your face off. How about some big sound systems in cars? And this one is a factory option to put in a car. It's phenomenal. The aircon is really good. Yes, the interface in front of me here is a little bit old, don't get me wrong, but you can change that out if I ever want to. The steering wheel is just so nice, and the thickness of it is just right. It has thumb things right here, so when you're really going for it, flipping through the gears, you can hold on to that steering wheel and really get a sense of driver feel from this car. And if you are looking to get one of these, I would hand on my heart say that they're going up in price. I'd looked for a few months, not really thinking that I'd ever be able to buy one of these, but I did see a few of them going for a little bit more than I remember them being a few years ago. I think they're becoming a bit of a cult icon, if I'm honest. They're going down in history as being, you know, a 5-cylinder, 4-door sportback monster of its era. And I think, yes, it's still a relatively new car to some people, but in my opinion, I think this shape, this variant of RS3 is going to go down as one of the best hot hatches ever. It's a funny one because I've driven a lot of cars, and a lot of people on my channel especially will look at this car and go, that's really cool, don't really get why you've bought it, because you've driven all these other cars and you said they're relatively numb, or you wouldn't buy one, or you'd rather buy this. And it's hard to explain until you do drive a Focus RS Mark II, and then you jump in one of these and you see it for what it is. You want to enjoy it in a different way. Mark III RS, you enjoy this in a completely different way to the Mark III RS. A Golf R, this is a completely different car, and it's really, again, hard to explain that. The 5-cylinder, the way this thing feels on the road, the way the steering wheel feels, it's just so different. And I'm not saying the car's different at all. It's just the drivability and how you want it to be is so different to all the others. To be honest, I always wanted them to be this good. I wanted them to feel a little bit different, to feel a little bit more aggressive, to feel comfier than other cars that I've driven. Christ, that comes on boost, like, wow, 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 wow. I'm still, after driving this for a couple of days, gobsmacked at how good it is. Just ticks every box in my head. Yes, other people will not agree, and that's fine. You don't have to agree, because I bought it because I wanted it. I bought it because it's the car that ticks every box in my books, and I love the looks of it. The looks is just so right. The drivability is so good. The chuckability, that power, drivetrain, the way it just feels on the road, so grippy but aggressive at the same time, not boring. It is just the winner. I love this car, and I'm so glad I bought it. I really am. Sometimes I go back on my ideas in my head and go, oh, I shouldn't have bought that. This though, yeah. So happy. So guys, let me break it down a couple of other little bits for you. If you're interested in buying one of these and you've got to this point in the video, the S3 is a very good car. It's half the price of these at the end of the day. So if your budget only stretches to an S3, go for the S3. You will not be disheartened by an S3. They're phenomenal cars, but if you have the budget and you can get yourself into one of these, 100% do it. MPG wise, you're looking at about 16 to 17 MPG round town, obviously booting it and giving it little bits and bobs here and there. On a run, I got 34 MPG, real life MPG on the motorway, driving this thing back from Havant Car Company. Servicing costs, I'm yet to find out. I've had a little look at a couple of brake discs and, you know, coil packs just in case, but you know, they're relatively expensive, but it's an RS model, an Audi RS model, so they do come up a little bit more expensive than others. And as for pricing, this one has 50,000 miles on it with a full service history, 3 owners, and it's kicking around the market in the mid to low 20s at the moment. But price point is a funny one because you can get these incredibly cheap, you know, kicking around the 15 to 16,000 pound mark these days. I wouldn't go for one of them. I wanted, you know, a relatively lower mileage, lower owner version of this car with mods on it, so that always pulls a little bit more of a premium. So as I come back into a rural setting where people can't drive apparently, I'm going to take it out of sport mode, take it out of sport on there, and just cruise back to the office. Thank you so much for watching. This is exactly why I bought this car, because you can go and have a ride in it and then it goes into quiet comfy mode and you can just cruise wherever you want in it. And that to me is a very, very hard thing to do in a standard car, let alone a modified car. So this is exactly why I bought it. Please leave your comments below, let me know your thoughts on my new Audi RS3. Thank you so much for watching. If you have anything that you want to see me do with this car, in this car, or you want to work with me at all on this project, please let me know. Get in touch, fydapparel.com. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.